Hi, and welcome to Getting Down to Business. I'm your host, Pat Frew. I'm the Executive Director of the Covington Business Council. This program explores economic development topics in Covington and Kenton County. And I want to thank TBNK on behalf of the CBC for allowing us to host this program as a public affairs opportunity for the community. We also want to welcome our guest today, Billie Kegley, who is the owner of the Roost in Latonia, also very involved in the Latonia Business Association. Billie, thanks so much for being on today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, let's get down to business
here.
So let's talk a little bit about your history with Latonia. It's not a short one. It's kind of a long one. But how did Latonia become an interest for you? And take us through the steps of your involvement and engagement with the neighborhood up to this point now.
Sure, absolutely. So Latonia, I had lived close to Latonia when I first moved here from Oklahoma. I was married. I lived up near Salt City. So I'd always ventured. I'd always come down and shop. And so I'd always thought that it was so quaint. And so I always knew I wanted to be involved in some capacity. I did attend church also as well. And so 20 years later, I was in Leadership Northern Kentucky, and we were working on, looking at different cities and looking how we could impact, this region. And Latonia had come up in several conversations. And so I think that the passion from that class kind of transferred, and we chose Latonia. We did Unlock the Block in 2017, and so I found myself really loving Latonia and just the people. They were exceptional, and so that's how I got involved.
And that point really defined and cemented your idea that this is where I belong and this is where I need to pull up, stakes and roots and develop something.
Absolutely. I mean, our goal was to root. We wanted to root and find out what the community needed. We wanted to look at the business sector and see, how we could chime in and possibly give our skill sets and impact their businesses. And, with the Leadership Northern Kentucky, you've got 50 different business leaders. So they all have something, that they can offer. And so when we hosted Unlock the Block, it was a music festival, a successful one. It allowed us to, the first year, we were able to help the elementary schools and help, establish some funds for planters. And then several of us, after that event, several of us wanted to stay and see, how we could further continue the mission.
Right. The City of Covington, it seems lately has anointed Latonia as the next big growth area in the city. Mm-hmm. Why don't you talk about that and talk about the case for that being reality?
Sure, I love the anointing. I would say, anointing, celebrating. I think that's what Covington does well, is it celebrates its uniqueness. We have so many heritage that, you have Main Strasse, and then you have Pieselberg, and just these little communities. So Latonia is seeing that. When I first came here, there were 5 barbershops, and there were several taverns and tons of churches. And so it just had all this, as from architecture to just unique services. So I think that Covington is seeing the walkability, that it's safe, that it's neighborly. And so I think that, as Latonia has celebrated, they used to be the horse track town. I think they're still celebrating, and they're trying to just see how they can further, work with the organizations that have been trying to get bike racks and different things, just to make it more friendlier.
Yeah. Well, you're a person that has a great deal of perseverance, because I know what a labor of love, but the emphasis was on labor in terms of getting your business open, the Roost. Talk about that, and you just had a never say die attitude about that, despite all the obstacles, which happens to everyone. But yeah, you faced a lot of them with that building, didn't you?
The building, yes, absolutely. Latonia has, I think, as far as businesses, I love the unique storefronts, and so we did have that, a unique storefront. Mm-hmm. We came in, we added not just 1 garage door, but 2. We wanted people to come in and instantly feel like they are welcomed, and so we had to restore everything from the ceiling down.
What was in there before?
Several things. So there was a promotions company. There Holian's Hardware, which was, that's dating several generations, but Holian's Hardware was there. And so we went into the building and we tried to restore it to its wholeness as far as historically. And so we, top to bottom, everything. I think the hard thing is, we opened the week before the pandemic, but we were in the building a year prior to that working on construction. And so we were trying to do new plumbing and new electric and, do the new permitting. And so I think as a business starting out, that's a lot to undergo and then come up with your branding and everything else. So we got through it, just like many people. We opened the week before the pandemic.
Tell us what you're trying to achieve with the Roost. It's much more than a coffee shop to hang out in the morning. Talk about the vibe there, talk about your, the experience that you're trying to create there.
I think a community. In Leadership North Kentucky, when we were there with Unlock the Block, we always heard the feedback of they needed a hub. And so we tried to be that when we were working on concept. We really wanted to be more than a coffee shop, as you said. And so we do a little bit of everything. We cater, we host craft classes, we allow people to do executive retreats. And so I think that we were just open to what it would bring. And so it's kind of exciting to see, who comes into the Roost, and every day it's different. So
talk to us about the demographic. It sounds like from A to Z, but
it is, and it's every age you have people coming. It's not just regionally. We have people coming in from vacation. Today we had like 20 people come from the Creation Museum. So I think students come in. We have people that are working remote. So it's very open to people just whether their cup of respite is work or they want coffee or they want to spend time with friends. I think we just open the doors and see what brings.
And you've talked about expanding across the street. Talk about the building across the street.
It is the old, the Bonar Mansion is what it's called. There's an attorney, but
Right.
we are calling it Birdie's Sweet Tea House and Inn.
Oh.
What's great about that is we are going to be able to house people and do a bed and breakfast type structure in the front, and then in the back we have a full commercial kitchen. There is a lady. Her name is Tracy Bowles. She is with Handful of Dough, and she is going to be doing that full time in the back, and so she's going to be doing catering with us.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you are far from the only female starting a business in Latonia. There's just been an explosion in terms of women entrepreneurs in Latonia. Talk about that.
So when I got started, it was very male dominated. And so, but I will say that, a lot of times when you say that, people say, was it something that blocked you? There were so many male and female mentors in Latonia that had lived here. They've owned businesses that were very welcoming to the idea of what we were trying to bring. So I do want to say that because I'm not bashing. I definitely say that there was help. Regarding women, when I started, there are three of us. Heather from Curated, she has a mid-century place on Southern, and so she had been there a year prior, and so she has all types of oddities, but she is there, and she's still doing well, and you made it thus far. She also does design consulting, so her business is storefront, but she also does consulting. And then you had Alterations and More, which is a service, and that was a lady who, her name is Lynn. She also has a business in Mainstrasse. So I think that they both realized the importance of what small town brings, and they activated their storefronts. And so when you drive by, it was no longer closed. So they really worked on the storefront detail. If you look at where we had Unlocked the Block, there was wellness, Warrior Wellness, and so she offered holistic healing, and so she was able to bring that to Latonia. So it was different than the retail front. And so since the 5 years that I've been down here, there's 14 new businesses, and mostly have started by women. And that group of women have been able to support each other in various components, but whether it's branding or whether it's just helping at an event or whatever, I feel like we are open to wanting each other to succeed.
Let's talk about some of those different women-owned businesses besides the few examples you just gave. So there's quite a variety. So it's always the issue of leaving somebody out. So we're going to ask for forgiveness in advance.
Big forgiveness.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I'll go down. I'll start on Southern where we're at. So we have Warrior Wellness. We have Kelly Nicely, who she's around the corner fabrics. She's bringing a lot of crafting and she's quilting, and so that's kind of nice to see. We have a property manager, and I'm going to forget her name, but she is coming into the fold. I'd mentioned Lynn. She owns Alterations and More. Heather, that has curated. We have Angie's Closet, vintage, some really unique clothing pieces there. We have Chris with Local 325. Tchotchke, she has local as far as t-shirts, cups, and then you go down, we have Lindsay Dreyer, who's part of Bards, so she's bringing in that female front. Tracy Bull with Handful of Dough. If you go across the tracks, you're going to see, and that's now on DeCourcy, you're going to see Pandemonium. Part of their ownership is Sarah Cole, and she brings her artistry to the bar front. And then next door to them is K Aloha's. They have Amy Abafo and So and Val, and they just came in. They were coming in from a food truck, and they really pair well with what Pandemonium does. There's a recent development across the street where Tim's Trains. There's a lady named Diana who is trying to outfit that as a mixed-use space. So there's a ton, and I know I'm forgetting. Also, I did forget one, Rachel. She has Head to Toe Salon, and so she is there. We have a lot of service providers too that come in that do massage wellness, and then we have some therapists that come in and occupy some of those spaces.
Great. It's time for us to take a short break. You're watching Getting Down to Business, and we'll return in a moment.
Good.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Oh boy.
We just found it.
Oh.
Our back and forth.
Look, Daddy.
Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
Dad!
Whoa!
You made time.
That was perfect. Okay, here we go, throw it!
Yeah.
You probably don't remember what you told me.
Nice.
But I heard every word.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it,
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got, or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Move it! Yes, sir! Move left! Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
And we're back. You're watching Getting Down to Business here on TBNK. I'm Pat Frew, your host, and I'm joined by Billie Kegley, who owns the Roost in Latonia, and she's also very involved in the Latonia Business Association, and that's where we're going to turn our conversation now. So you recently joined the board, I believe, of LBA, or maybe even on it for a little while longer than I know, but let's talk about the evolution of that organization to align with how Latonia is changing business-wise, as we expressed in the first half of this interview. So.
Sure. LBA is one of several organizations that have been part of, I guess, the change, as you will. LBA has been in Latonia, I think, in I want to say for the last 40 or 50 years, and they have historically supported businesses, whether the business was just needing branding information or marketing or whatever. They do a monthly luncheon. LBA in Latonia now is getting ready to do their block party, and so that is something that they've held for, I think, over 40 years. And so they get the community together, and they host a fall event every October. And so I think it's really just supporting what that small business needs. LBA is a all-volunteer group, and it's an eclectic group, and it's from every sector. And so you have banking, you have small business, you have support as far as just your printer. And so the group of us really we ask the business owners what they need. We also look at the streetscape. We talk to the community organizations. They, when the pandemic happened, it was kind of, everybody wasn't meeting. And so I think that there was a presence of what can we do? How can we help? Some of us, when LBA could not meet, the Riddies district kind of formed a business district onto Coursing. We joke that it's like the non-business group, but a lot of us were on the LBA, and if somebody needed meat, in their business, or somebody needed extra parking, if somebody needed plexiglass during the pandemic, I think that we all were trying to support each other. There are a lot of businesses as far as construction, so if somebody's building, we try to locally use and support. And so I think that LBA has found success by just trying to continue whatever it is, if they can help, to try to do that.
I think you kind of answered this question in some of the ways that you expressed how the community acts, but why is there a need for an LBA? Why do they need a business association representing the interests of the community in your sight, in your mind?
Yeah, so I think with Latonia, it's giving a observation of many fronts, whether it's the speed limit, whether it's a road change, whether it is a business that needs funding. I think that it helps at more of a local level, of needs met, and then we can address it, with the city as far as if something is happening. We have an offering just like those neighborhoods that I was talking about, and I think that it's just highlighting some of the needs and being supportive of those businesses. So I think that the LBA really is there to be support, if you will.
Right, and I know that the board is working on changing maybe the way it works and how it serves people and things like that. And we talked about some initiatives, bricks and mortar, pop-up shops, different things like that. What are some of the things that you see happening in the future that LBA will be trying to promote and maybe direct that might be different from the way that it served the community in previous years?
Sure. So in my experience and being on it, and then even during the Unlock the Block time, I think that the LBA wanted to see Latonia do well. They had a lot of opened storefronts that were not activated, and so, and when I say they, I think that that's not an LBA issue. I think that that is just a community going through a seasonal transition, and it was in a transition of not retail but service, oriented. So the LBA, again, as long as I've been on it, I've seen them in different capacities, whether they're helping the VFW with an issue, they're trying to support if they do, like we just got their memorial, and so I think that they're trying in any entity to try to help support that, whether it's an organization or a business. We've worked on the branding initiative. We're celebrating that neighborhood, so we've got the branding of the new banners that are coming in. They supported Unlock the Block. A lot of the members will try to recruit volunteers so we can do the planters. I think that the LBA is a more organized level of community needs and business, mainly business, but they do try to support the community endeavors.
One of the things I've always noticed about the LBA, Billie, is that in addition to representing business interests, as you said, the LBA has almost acted like a community-focused group, like a Rotary, like a service organization. And it sounds like that even as LBA continues to evolve, that will kind of remain a part of your identity.
Sure. I think that if neighbors are supporting the businesses and the businesses are supporting the businesses, I think we all do well. The LBA tries to listen to the businesses. They also want to make sure that it's walkable and safe and attractive. And so I think that being a neighborly house is important. So it matters what our streetscape looks like. It matters what the speed limits are. And so I think that they've always had that component of caring. And so I think that that's why I signed on, is that they wanted to be involved and just make, Latonia better.
In your opinion, there have been a lot of new types of retail businesses introduced in the last few years, but what's missing? As you all have talked, are there other types of businesses that you think Latonia could support if somebody stepped forward to start a business in a particular sector or industry?
Sure. Well, I think services in general. So we do have a lot of retail fronts, but I think, services, I'm thinking therapy or health providers would be a nice addition. We've had some in the past recent 3 years have left, and so I think that adding that to the diversity would be a great offering for our neighborhood. I know that Covcor purchased some of the strip mall that I think Shotstein's is what we know it as, but so they're pretty creative. So I think that we're going to see, whether it be brick and mortar or storage containers or different things, I think that those are some of the ideas that could be creative, that could happen, that would maybe give it more appeal or whatever. But I think that a lot of the current business owners now are being open to, it's not just about their business. If, I'll give you, for example, our baker that was in-house and she was baking on the weekends. Now she's going to have her own establishment. And so she's grown from within the Roost to her own entity. So I think that the businesses in Latonia are open to helping others too.
How do you, maybe the types of businesses that move into the shopping center might be kind of different than the businesses that are kind of clustered together around Riddy's Corner. How do you have those different groups work effectively to bring even more growth and vitality to Latonia?
Sure, I think the LBA is really working on it. It's not just Riddy's Corner. They work a lot with Latonia Uptown, which is really equivalent to a Main Street association, but they're not. They are an entity where they work on the neighborhood at Riddy's Corner. So I think that the LBA is trying to reach those outlying businesses, and make them feel as if they are in Latonia and they are a business, and so it doesn't have to be necessarily at Riddy's. And so whether that be promoting on social media or just sharing, at those luncheons or different events, I think that they are trying to just let people know that they're welcome and they can share, their business concept with each other.
Right. So say you're a business in Latonia and you're not engaged yet with the LBA. How would you get somebody to do that? How would you get them to engage? And And I know you, so I'm sure you're out there talking to them about, come to our meetings, come involved, work with us.
Well, meetings always don't work for everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that being a member doesn't necessarily mean that you're at a luncheon every time or you're at a happy hour or a meeting. Meetings or just being in part of the LBA, it could be that you're helping with the block party or doing what you can when you can. And so I think that we're looking at how people are involved differently. And so, with the LBA, a lot of us will try to divide and conquer. And so whether it be, going to the restaurant and supporting them at their grand opening, or we are like, hey, we can highlight your business, just give us your story and, let us know your information. So I think that we're trying to do those small efforts, and they can build off that and they can share, and hopefully they do come to our meetings, when they can. And so I think it's just being open to, helping them in any capacity that we can.
What is, and I don't know if the LBA board has discussed this, so maybe it's just your opinion, but what does Latonia look like in 5 to 10 years from now, especially as you look at success?
Yeah, I mean, my goal would be that we're all good neighbors, and so neighbors as far as business neighbors, community neighbors, that our streets are walkable, our little libraries are full, dogs are walking. As far as businesses, I would love to see just the continuation of the growth, and creativity and support that we're seeing in the last 3 years. I think that there is more of a cohesiveness with working, with the city, and I think that Latonia is being heard, and the city is, supporting, and I think there's a pride overall. So I think in 5 to 10 years, I think we continue the growth. We're progressing.
And just wrapping up, anything else you wanted to add in summation of our conversation?
Yeah, Latonia is more than the racetrack that it was. I think that we celebrate that, but come on a weekend. It's like a destination, if you will. I love on weekends where people are coming. We're also rooting for people in Main Strasse and on Pike Street, and we're saying, hey, you've been here, take another 4 hours and go there. And, that's the big thing. It's just, I want us to root for each other. I think we'll all do well.
Great. Billie, thank you for joining me today. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Yeah. So that's all the time we have today on Getting Down to Business. Our guest has been Billie Kegley, who's the owner and proprietor of the Roost in Latonia, also heavily involved in the Latonia Business Association. I'm your host, Pat Frew. The Covington Business Council appreciates the support and partnership in this program from TBNK. So until next time, have a great day.